Exhibition In Search of Genre, Musical Theater of Sergei Prokofiev. The composer's 120th anniversary exhibition, which is now a great success in the Glinka State Museum of Musical Culture in Moscow, is represented by materials from 11 Russian museums. It recreates the story of plays by one of the most theatrical composers of the 20th century. Along with materials about the famous premieres of 1920s to 50s, there are exhibits devoted to the recent performances that have already become the golden fund of the national musical culture. On display are photographs, posters, sketches of scenery, Prokofiev autographs and authentic performance costumes. The area of about 500 square meters accommodates almost 400 museum items. The exhibition is opened by the parade of premiere posters of operas, ballets and drama performances to Prokofiev's music. There's a big composition with photographs and sculpture portrait of Sergei Prokofiev made by Gleb Diruzhinsky in the hall center. The first section is called Theater of Masks on Opera Stage. It includes materials connected to productions of two Prokofiev's operas, The Love for Three Oranges and Betrothal in the Monastery. The tale by Carlo Gozzi was presented in the 1920s by Leningrad Kirov Opera and Ballet Theatre and Bolshoi Theatre, as well as by Moscow Musical Theatre after Stanislavski and Nemirovich Danchenko in the end of the 1970s. The lyrical comic opera Betrothal in the Monastery, along the lines of play The Duenna by Richard Sheridan, is presented by performances of different years in Moscow and Leningrad. In the second section, From Buffoonery to Evangelical Proverbs, presented three early ballets created by Prokofiev for Sergei Diaghilev's Russian seasons. The ballet The Tale of the Buffoon, written by Alexander Afanasyev Tales in 1921, was the first success of the composer in theater. The performance was presented on the ballet stages in Paris and London. It was followed by the Bolshevik ballet Le Pas d'Acier, The Steel Step, and Evangelic Proverb The Prodigal Son, staged by Diaghilev in Paris. The third section, In Search of New Simplicity or Birth of Soviet Classics, covers the years of composers' work with outstanding Soviet directors Alexander Tyrov, Vsevolod Meyerhold and Sergei Radlov. Prokofiev created music for Egyptian Nights and Eugene Onegin performances in Moscow Chamber Theatre, Shakespeare's tragedy Hamlet in the Leningrad Len-Soviet Theatre. The most famous ballet by Prokofiev, Romeo and Juliet, ran for years on various stages in Leningrad, Moscow and Novosibirsk. Here are as well old and new tales for children and adults, and later versions of the ballets Cinderella and The Tale of Stone Flower, based on the Urals tales by the Russian writer and folklore collector Pavel Bazhov. Operas The Gambler, based on Fyodor Dostoevsky's novel, Semyon Katko by Valentin Kataev's story, and War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy constitute another symbolic layer of the exhibition, called by the curators From Psychological Drama to the Nation Epic. An original epilogue to the exhibition makes the installation Sergei Prokofiev's Dacha at Nikolina Gora. The installation includes memorial belongings, photographs, portraits of composer and his second wife, Mira Mendelssohn-Prokofiev. The exhibition is supported by video materials with unique shots of the first presentations and world premieres of operas and ballets by Sergei Prokofiev. Among the participants of the exhibition project were the Russian State Archive of Literature and Arts, the State Tretyakov Gallery, St. Petersburg Museum of Theatre and Music Arts, the State Central Theatre Museum after Bakrushin, Bolshoi Theatre Museum, Mikhailov Theatre Museum. If you are interested in hosting the exhibition In Search of Genre, Musical Theatre of Sergei Prokofiev, please address your inquiries to the Glinka State Museum of Musical Culture in Moscow, Russia.